Now that's a bass, huh? That's a slab crappie, man. It just doesn't get any better. The smallmouth here in Champlain is phenomenal. Hey guys, it's Sunday night and welcome to another weekend roundup. I hope you guys are having fun on this hot, steamy July 4th weekend. Hello everyone, I'm George, your host and fellow angler, George, your Pocono Outdoors Guy. We got a really good show lined up for you guys tonight. We have IGFA World Record holder and published author Matt Price joining us. But before we bring him in, I got a few folks I got to thank. Got to thank Tim Keebler over at Finseeker River Guide Service. You know, Tim is the premier guide on the Delaware River. He gets you out on those shad, walleye, smallmouth, stripers, muskies, 7 days a week. I keep seeing guys posting all kinds of pictures with Tim catching trophy fish. Be sure you guys get out and book your trip with Tim. 215-262-4811. Please give Tim a call and tell him George sent you. Also, Tony Maja products. You know, if you guys are out looking for that big old striper, Tony Maja has everything you need, from bunker spoons, mojos, outrodders, and those custom rods that are great for those mojo and spoon fishing. Give Tony Maja a call at TonyMajaProducts.com. Also, the Fisherman Magazine. You know, each week Jim Hutchison gives you a look ahead for the coming weekend. All the tips, tactics, and tackle you need to be a better fisherman. Check him out at thefisherman.com, and you might even catch me giving you a look ahead what's happening right here in the Poconos. So like I said, guys, I hope you're having a great holiday weekend. It's a good 3-day weekend. Boy, was it hot. I don't think we've had weather like this for quite a while, but I know the fishing was probably rough. I've heard of all kinds of horror stories with people on our lakes this weekend. So hopefully this coming weekend, things will settle down. We can get back out in that water and do some fishing. But to talk about some fishing today, we have a really good friend of mine coming in. You know, we talked about world records, IGFA record holder, and what a better guy to get on. I'm going to introduce my good friend from Australia. Matt Price is joining us today. I'm going to bring him in. Hello, Matt. How are you doing, sir?
Very good, thank you. How are you, sir?
Hey, thank you so much for taking time to join us. I know this is early in the morning for you. It's evening for us here. But yeah, thank you so much for joining us today.
It's an absolute honor. I really appreciate the invitation and really looking forward to talking about something I love so much, and that's fishing. And I want to book a trip with that guide.
Yeah, please do. Yeah, Tim's a great guy. And I'll tell you, all week I've been watching, he's been taking folks out and getting those really nice smallmouth and some stripers. So really good fishing with Tim. So yeah, give him a call. Matt, I mean, here's a guy that's caught just about everything. I know you hold a couple of IGFA records, that you're a published author. I mean, what an expert in catching all things all over the world. Why don't you start off by telling folks a little bit about yourself?
Okay. So I had a really rough trot through some not so good relationships. I ended up getting chronic fatigue, and through the lot of it, I lost good portion, over $1 million worth of property and bus companies and whatnot I had. Woke up one day and I decided that all I was doing was making everybody else rich. And about that time, I'd found out about the International Game Fishing Association and the Royal Slams that they had. They've got 6 different ones, one for billfish, tuna, shark, salmon, bass, and trout. So to get the billfish one, there's 9 different billfish species around the world that you've got to get. Wow. And then 9 shark, 8 tuna, 8 bass, 7 trout, and 6 salmon. And I'd already been doing a fair bit of fishing, chasing the marlin around. I had over half of them, so I thought, well, why not go fishing and go and finish that out? So I finished that out, became the first Australian to do that, and then I looked into it some more, and I realised that nobody had them all. And I had a lot of people through life tell me that you'll never be anything, so I thought, why not go and be first in the world at something and show them that, and not only them, but, you know, be an inspiration to other people, that it doesn't matter what people tell you can do. You can do anything if you put your mind to it.
Sure.
And so that was 2011, and 2015, I caught the last fish I needed to be the first in the world to do it all. So it was one heck of a ride. It was a massive learning experience. I don't have a lot, as I said, I lost everything. I work as a bus driver, so I don't make a lot of money, but I sacrifice a lot to make these trips happen. So people out there that are watching thinking that you need to have a lot of money to do this stuff, you don't. You just got to have the sacrifice and the dedication to go and do it, and you can make anything happen.
Boy, that's really true.
Yeah, I went on one heck of an adventure. And when I finished it all, I decided that I had to have a new challenge. So I decided to pick up a fly rod and never fly fished before. And I'm now the first in the world with the freshwater 3-on fly as well. Started on the saltwater one. So yeah, it's just a lot of fun going on an adventure and trying out stuff that you've never done before. And this fly fishing cape is a whole new animal that I got to try and tame. But I still suck at it, but cast enough to make it happen.
Well, I think a little bit of reputation has your favor there, so I'm sure you're going to figure that out.
Yeah, for sure.
Hey, yeah, real quick, we got a couple of folks joining us here, Matt. We got Jay Batcha says, "Hey guys." Ryan Sturgis says, "Hey," and Samantha Marie says, "Hello." Hey guys, thank you so much for watching. Really appreciate that. Be sure to ask questions for Matt here. You know, Matt's a great source of fishing knowledge. Be sure you put your questions here, and we'll see if we can help you guys out. So, Matt, I mean, how do you even go about chasing something? I mean, especially fish that you've never even went for before. How do you go about it and then get a record on top of it? That just amazes me.
A lot of the fish I'd never even heard of. And g'day to all of those that are watching as well. Thanks for joining in. I see my mum's just joined in as well. Hello. But the thing to do is to do your research. And for each trip that I do about 200 to 400 hours of research with Dr. Google to figure out the best time of year, the best place, the best people, and all that sort of thing. Because, you know, just because somebody fishes in an area, a guide can go out and I use that guide that you're mentioning before as an example. He can take you out and he can catch all of those fish. But a really good guide, if you tell him you want to catch a smallmouth bass, he'll take you onto that waterway and he'll put you on that smallmouth bass. Where somebody that just fishes that lake and will take you out and he'll catch you a fish, but it may not be what you're after. It might be a muskie, it might be, you know, anything. So you really got to do your research to find those people that really know how to target that particular fish. One thing that I found doing it, and I've had a lot of people through Facebook, and thank you so much, and God bless you all for helping me out so much, have wanted to join in the fun and said, hey, if you come and have fish with me and we'll make it happen. And it's great because it saves me a lot of money on having to pay for guides all the time, but it also makes it a really good adventure when you've got friends that are there for the passion, and a lot more fun out of it. But you know, it's a long way to go, halfway around the world to go targeting a particular fish. So you really want to make sure that you're fishing with the people that really know their stuff, so that they can make it happen and target that particular fish that you need. And in my experience, I found that guides, especially that take you out to target these particular fish, when you find the right guides, they thrive on it, because it's not just catching a fish for a punter. You know, they've really got to be on their A game to be able to know where to target those fish, how they're biting, what they're biting on, and all that sort of thing on that particular day. Because what they're eating today might be not be what they're eating tomorrow. And so, you know, it's been one heck of an adventure. It's taken me into some amazing places, and as I said, meet some amazing people, and that's what I thrive on, is just that adventure.
Yeah, that's got to be a ton of pressure on a guide or somebody you go fishing with. I mean, you're not out with a guy, you know, having a beer, catching a few fish. You're out looking for world records, and that's got to be a tremendous amount of pressure.
Yeah, it's not actually a world record. It's an achievement to get these Royal Slams. As well as the Royal Slams, they've also got Grand Slams, Super Slams, and Fantasy Slams. So if you want to get a Grand Slam on, let's say, bass, for instance, you need to get 3 different species of bass on the same day. If you want it on billfish, you got to get 3 different billfish species on the same day. Gotcha. If you want a Super Slam, and it's 4 different species of bass, and a Fantasy Slam is 5 different species. So you can use those to all go towards your Royal Slam as well. but it just adds to the challenge of the day that, you know, you're not going out catching largemouth all day or not going out catching stripers all day. You mix it up and go and target different fish. And it adds a lot more to the fun because it's all a different technique. And I haven't got time. I work too many hours to sit there and in the backyard practicing my casting or whatever. I've got to learn it on the go. And you know, fortunately, I find the right people and I listen to what they're telling me to do, and I do it and get the results. It doesn't always happen. That's why it's called fishing, not catching.
Right.
But you can eliminate a lot of the bad luck by doing a lot of the research to find out all of that stuff. And even if you're fishing in your local areas, you know, do your research, figure out the best time around the tides and the moon phase, and ask some people that have been catching and what they're chewing on. And I know a lot of people don't like sharing information, and that's fine, but there's also a lot to do. And because at the end of the day, the more information I can share with somebody else, it's going to get them enjoying the sport a lot more. And that's what we're all here for.
That's
so,
right.
You know, I wouldn't give them my favorite snapper spot that took me 10 years to go and find. But, you know, I'm happy to share how they're biting, what techniques we use, and all that sort of information, so that it gives them a better chance to go out and enjoy it and have a great time.
No, that's a real good point. And we've had a couple discussions here on the show about, you know, spot burning and stuff like that. And that's not what it's about when you're helping someone else out. You know, it's kind of getting them in the right type of waters, maybe the right tackle to get in there. But yeah, I think fishermen, outdoorsmen as a whole are probably one of the most competitive people, but we also share a lot of information together. I think we help each other more than anyone else in any other sport, for sure.
Absolutely. And everywhere I go, you know, I'll have my trip planned out, but in the afternoon or the morning beforehand, I might have some spare time and I'll go down to a local dock or whatever and just talk to the local fishermen. Hey, what are you catching? What are they biting on? And somebody will always tell you this is what you need to do.
Right.
And go down to the local tackle shop and buy the gear and go back and away you go.
Right.
And have a lot of fun. So, yeah, although it's a competitive sport, there's also someone will tell you how to have your gear set up right.
Yeah. Matter of fact, I want to jump back a second to something you said a few seconds ago. You were talking about, I'm not sure which slam or what it was. You said you catch 3 species in one day, and that's some kind of a title you can earn.
Yeah, the Grand Slam.
The Grand Slam. It's funny because I was out fishing with, I think, a friend of yours, John Augustine, and my good friend, Josh Taylor. And we were out fishing for shad one day, and the shad were kind of so-so. So the guide took us out. He said, let's go catch some bass. My good friend Josh got himself a largemouth, a smallmouth, and a striper all within about a half an hour. So I guess that's something he probably could have went and got himself a title for that, I would assume.
Absolutely. And you still can. You've just got to submit the information through to the IGFA, get a email from yourself or John to say that you were there and you saw him catch them all.
I got it on video.
Sorry? I didn't hear that. Sorry.
I said I got it on video even, so we even have him catching them.
Yeah, absolutely. You don't need the videos if you got photos of it. If you haven't got photos, then send in the videos, and then they do their checks and balances to make sure that everything's all legit, that you know, the fish that you're saying that it is actually the right fish, because a lot of those bass and a lot of other species as well are very similar. And takes an expert sometimes to distinguish between the two of them. So, yeah, just send in the photos and away he goes. But it's something really to be proud of. There's only, I think there's about 50 or 60 people in the world have a Bass Grand Slam.
Okay.
So, you know, to be in the top 100 people in the world, that's a pretty cool thing to have.
Josh, I know you're watching, so go ahead and look up that record right now. And I want to get that email tomorrow that you submitted that, because you deserved it. That was a great day on the water. Really like that.
Thanks, like it.
Yeah, absolutely. So like that's a great tip just in there. I mean, that's something anybody can do. I mean, if you're in waters where you got, you know, things like that, or, you know, either stocked or they're available in a river, that is certainly an easy target. I won't say easy because nothing's easy in fishing, but it's certainly something that's achievable for anybody if they want to go ahead and target that.
Absolutely. And especially through America, there's so many places that you can go and target these things. You know, there's a lot of places will have 3 different species of bass. But to give you an example, there's a guy from West Virginia, I think he is. I told him that I'd take him on a trip of a lifetime because he was having a bit of a hard time. And so I met him in Tennessee. We spent the morning fishing there trying to catch a white bass. Didn't have any luck, so we drove down to Lake Hartwell on the Georgia-South Carolina border. We got down there, I think it was about 10 o'clock at night. We fished till about midnight and gave up. So had to sleep in a motel for a few hours, got on the boat. We went out, we caught 3 different species of bass on the lake with a guide there. We then got off the lake. We drove an hour and a half down the other side of Georgia to catch a shoal bass. And then we drove from Georgia back up to Tennessee. I'm just trying to think of the name. Watts Bar Dam, somewhere around there near Knoxville. And on sunset, last cast, he caught a white bass to get a fantasy slam.
Nice.
So, in one day, we drove probably 6-7 hours in between 3 different spots and all of those different states to get him a fantasy slam and made it happen. And as well as a fantasy slam, because we caught so many fish in the morning, he also got a super slam and a grand slam, I believe.
Holy
and
cow.
I got the same. So, it was just one of those insane days that I don't believe there's only one other person, a mate of mine from Australia, I took over, and we did the same thing. We both got a fantasy slam, super slam, and grand slam. But there's no other people in the world who've done it to get those 3 on the same day with 2 people. There's a couple of people who've done it on the same day, but not with their friend as well. So, yeah, it was just an insane day. But that's why I say do your research to find the best people to fish with in the best locations, and you make anything happen.
That's probably the best advice I think you can give is, if you're serious about chasing some of these records, and I know you've written a book about this, but is maybe line up the people that can actually get you on these kind of fish. I mean, if it's hiring a guy, get out with a guy that knows what he's doing and he can get you on these things. And how about the documentation real quick? I know you said you have to submit some emails or something. What kind of a documentation do you need to prove that, you've caught these fish for the record?
Yep. So if you go onto the International Game Fishing Association website, go into what we do, I think it is, and then scroll down. It's got angler recognition. You click on that, it opens up about the Royal Slams and Grand Slams and that. So you click on that, and then you can download the application for it. But it also shows you the people that have done it as well.
Okay.
And so you print out the application. You fill it out, you get it stamped by Justice of the Peace or a notary.
Yeah.
I was trying to think what you call them over there. And then you get an email from somebody that you fished with, whether it's the guide or a friend or whoever that was there with you, to say that they were with you on these particular dates and you caught that fish. And then you submit all of that in with the photo of the fish that you caught, and that's it. I think it's about $70 if you're a non-member and $50 if you are a member or something. I can't remember the exact prices.
Yeah, sure.
But it doesn't cost you a lot, and it helps them fund what they're doing to help promote fish conservation and whatnot around the world as well. So the money goes to a great cause, and you can go from there. But I did write a book on it. Mum's prompting it as well, Chasing Royal Slams. And it talks about all my journey about going through the highs and lows of targeting these things and the places that I went. So if you are interested, it's a great read and an easy way to access some information. Either that or find me on Facebook and hit me up. I'm happy to tell anyone anything about, where to go and how to do it and whatnot. But a point that you were making just before about finding guides, even if you fish a local area and you want to improve your skills, it's always great to go and have a fish with a guide. Pay the money to do it. Do your research to find a great guide first before you waste your money, but go and find a great guide and go out and have a lot of fun, because they will teach you the techniques that you can then take back onto the waterway, refine your skills to go and do it.
Without a doubt, I agree with 100%. Even if you fish in unfamiliar waters, if you're familiar with fishing salmon or something, you go to a new lake, it's best even just to go one day out with a guide, learn the techniques that work on the body of water. It's going to save you hours and hours of failure on the water once you learn the techniques that work on that specific body of water. So I agree with you 100%, Matt. Guides earn their money every day. So utilize that talent. That's what they're there for, you know?
Absolutely. And even if you're going on holidays and taking your boat to go and fish a particular area, a lot of the guides will charge you a bit less to come out on your boat because they're not having to pay for fuel or whatever. And then they can show you the areas to go and how to do it, so that, you know, if you're there for a week, pay for a guide the first day so that he can show you what you're doing. You're going to save yourself a lot of time and fuel and bait, going doing what you do in the right areas with the right things. But even if you do go on their boat, it doesn't matter. It's still going to save you a lot of hassle and catch you more fish.
Yeah, I mentioned that with salmon because I went up to Lake Ontario for several years with some family, and I don't know. I probably spent the first 2 years going up there, and and it's a couple 100-mile drive. You probably spend $600 in fuel round trip, and then and only to get one or two fish because you haven't figured them out yet. Where if I just would have went with a guide the first time, I could have figured out, oh, okay, here's the pattern we use, here's the lures to use, presentation. Just save yourself a whole lot of headache. Just make that investment once and it'll pay off dividends.
Absolutely. And talking about salmon, for instance, one thing that I learned doing the Salmon Royal Slam is that you can target the same fish in different areas and they'll all bite differently. So I went and fished Lake Ontario around Rochester, targeting Chinook
King
salmon, I think it was, from memory.
King salmon. Yep.
And so when we got there, we went to the local tackle shop and they said, you have to use this particular spinner. And we bought that. And then we went to Oregon chasing them there and said, oh, look, we got our brand new spinner. And they said, no, that's useless here. Throw it away, you'll never catch your fish. This is what we use. And then we went up to just inland from Vancouver to Chilliwack, chasing the same fish there. And it was something completely different again.
Right.
So just because you know how to target a fish in one area doesn't mean that's what they're going to do anywhere else.
Yeah,
and the same with, marlin or whatever you're going to target, because the food source is different and how they feed are different. So
exactly.
You can't underestimate how much of an input that these guides will have and improve the fishing, not only where you are locally, but anywhere else that you go as well.
Right. I think you do some charity work too, don't you, Matt?
Yeah, I do. I was with a blind girl for 7 years, and when I met her, she said that nobody had taken her anywhere or done anything because apparently it's too hard to take a blind person. So I called bullcrap on it, and I started her chasing these Royal Slams around, and had an incredible adventure doing it, because it had added so much more complication to not only getting her into these areas if we were walking into them. When we're on a boat, I had to show her around the boat to where all the rods were and, where all the trip hazards and everything were. And then try and focus on her getting what she was doing while I was focusing on what I was doing. And those fish before her, or do I let her just take it so she can do? It was just a big head game the whole time. But because of the fun that I had doing it, I started up a not-for-profit taking people with disabilities and wounded veterans out fishing. And we had a lot of fun. I took a lot of disabled kids and kids with ADHD and that sort of thing fishing on the jetties, and it was a great time. But earlier in the year, in March, I fully funded myself a tournament. I took a group of veterans from Australia over to America, and it was going to be a bass and billfish tournament against their wounded vets, but unfortunately the weather was crap offshore, so we just made it an inshore fish in the estuary, and it was an incredible time. And after 7 days of fishing, it came down to one fish that made the difference between the two countries. And I had it set up so that they had to work as a team to maximize the points for their team, and because that's what the military is all about, is teamwork. And they all did that extremely well. And to come down to one fish between them was just incredible.
Oh, that sounds like a great time. But what a way to empower people that have some disabilities and work their way through it. I mean, there really is no limitations, and I think you're demonstrating that.
Yeah, absolutely. And, unfortunately, they get stuck in the house because no one wants to take them out. It's too much trouble and whatever. But why shouldn't they get to enjoy the same things that we take for granted at times? And the amount of enjoyment and satisfaction I get from taking them down and seeing the smiles on their faces, and
Sure.
the life-changing stories that I've got back from doing it. How can you not do it?
No, I agree.
It doesn't matter how much money it costs, and to take somebody down to a jetty, it costs you a bag of bait that you go and use yourself anyway. So
Sure.
why not take somebody down and give them a trip of a lifetime as well?
I'll put money on it. That wasn't the last time those folks were out fishing either. I mean, you get them guys out, and that's something they're going to want to do forever.
Yeah, for sure. And these kids with autism that I was taking roughly once a month, and every time I'd go down there again for the next trip, and they'd already be down there early and big smiles on their faces. There's a sorry.
No, that's great. That's what it's all about.
There's a lady I took fishing. Sorry, her two daughters were fishing in this particular comp. It wasn't a comp; it was just a fun day out. And I saw the lady crying, and I went over to her. This was, like 5 or 6 trips into it. I went over and I said, "Are you okay?" She said, "Yeah, I'm just so emotional." I said, "Why? What's going on?" She said, "My daughters and I have gone through a really bad time, being in a violent domestic situation that she'd left and run away for the safety of herself and her kids. And her daughter would never leave her side. But now her daughter was walking away with myself and the other couple of helpers that I had, and interacting with the other kids and fishing with them and just doing her thing and having a great time. And she was just so elated that, through this simple thing of fishing, that we had changed her daughter's life. Sorry, I just get a bit emotional talking about
it. That's what it's all about, Matt. I mean, how do you do anything more but do something you love and help other people at the same time? It just doesn't get better than that.
No, there's another guy, a friend of mine hit me up and he said, "I've got a guy that's dying of cancer. I know it doesn't fit into your criteria, but can you take him fishing?" Like, heck yeah, I'm not going to say no to going fishing. So I took this guy down, and he'd never been fishing before. And so we did 5 or 6 trips with him before he died. And so I went to his funeral and took one of the hats that I had for the organization, and a few other things to give to his wife as a keepsake for her. And his brother did the eulogy at the funeral, and he said that he'd recently just found fishing, and it had given him so much peace that while he was going through his chemo and knowing that he was going to die and leave his family and that behind, it gave him that time out that he was able to enjoy it and changed his life for the better in that really bad time that he was going through. So, for me, it was just a fishing trip, but you just never know what impact it's going to have on people that you go fishing with.
Yeah, it's amazing how that changes people's life, and that's so generous of you, Matt. I mean, you do so much for so many people. I know that.
Yeah, I do, and I get a lot of enjoyment out of it by doing it. And I've through some bad situations that I've gone through myself, I've got the opportunity to be able to go and do what I've done through a lot of sacrifice and whatnot. But the more that I can share that and the adventures with other people, it makes me really happy to be able to do that as well. And most trips I take somebody on them with me, so that it gives me some company to talk to on the long drives in between, but give them the opportunity to go on a trip that they wouldn't be able to otherwise. So
Sure.
no, it's been a heck of a lot of fun, and it's not going to stop. I'll keep doing what I do and have an awesome time doing it. But getting back to the Royal Slams and the Grand Slams and whatnot, it's just a really good way of adding extra into your adventure. Instead of just going out for a day fishing, why not go and try target these Grand Slams and Fantasy Slams? And there's only there's only less than 10 people have a bass fantasy slam. But there's
Okay.
so many places in America where you can go and you can get 5 species in a day on the same water.
Right.
But you know, if you move around a couple of lakes through the day, you can make it happen. So why not go and set yourself some challenges and go and get something that very few people in the world have ever had. There's 238 billion people or something have ever lived on the planet. So why not go and be in the top 10 of people that have done it? You know, it's just something awesome to go and achieve.
That really is. I think I'm going to have to start doing that because we get out in the water quite a bit, and maybe we'll look at doing that once and get on that board with you, buddy.
Heck yeah. But even with the salmon, you know, up on Lake Ontario, there's a few different species you can catch there.
Yeah.
But it just adds a lot more into the adventure.
Yeah.
And through all of that, it's given me the opportunity. I've been offered a chance to go on the Outdoor Channel and have a fishing show called Global Adventure Fishing.
Yep.
So we're just trying to get it all happen. We need to find the sponsors and that to make it all happen. But you know, you just never know what doors are going to open when you start doing it.
That's true.
Don't go and catch 3 fish and then think you're an expert and hit everybody up. Just, you know, go and spend the hours doing your time and make it all happen.
Right. Talking
there's
about
a
a
guy-
sponsor, I do know you have a sponsor here. I think actually in Pennsylvania, don't you?
Absolutely. Doug from Fish and FX. He makes awesome custom rods for you. I got him to make mine into a 3-piece rod because that way it fits across my bag when I'm traveling and I can cart them anywhere. So I get a 10-pound bass rod off him that I've done all the bass, all the trout and all the salmon Royal Slams on.
Nice.
But I've also caught a lot of big fish on it. I've caught a sailfish that was bigger than the photo that you got up there. That's a swordfish, but the sailfish was bigger than that. Fastest fish in the ocean, and I caught that on a 10-pound bass rod. Got into some nice queenfish and giant trevally and, you know, all that sort of thing. So spend the money on getting quality gear and use it right, and you'll catch anything on them.
Yeah, I happen to know Doug myself. Doug makes some really, really nice rods. He's a great rod builder. So you guys check him out. Fishing FX. He's a really good guy.
Not only a really good guy, but awesome rod maker as well. And
yes, sir.
Custom make it how you want, whether it's pearls in it or he's done rattleskin wraps for people.
I've seen that.
Well, whatever you want. It's just amazing his work. Check him out.
That's awesome. Anything else you want to talk about? That wrapping up, we can give the folks here talk about your book where they can get it.
Yeah, you can get it on Amazon. It's called Chasing Royal Slams. You can get the book from there. It's not much. It's $20 or something, I think, from memory. But perhaps if I shared a couple of the adventures that I've been on and maybe inspire people to get out and do it.
Yeah.
So one of the days we did in Tennessee was chasing a Grand Slam on trout that had to go towards these Royal Slams on fly. And so we started in this one river in the morning, and the guy I was fishing with said that we'd be able to pull out, you know, there'll be 200 brown trout sitting there. We went to that one hole and there wasn't any in there. So I started walking up this creek up to my armpits in water in places, trying to catch this damn fish, and ended up pulling out this little rainbow trout out of the rapids. So we got in the car, we drove an hour and a half to another place. We started walking across the paddock, and he said, "The snakes bother you?" I was like, "Come on, man, I'm Aussie." He said, "Well, this is full of rattlesnakes and copperheads. What do you want to do?" I said, "Keep walking." So we got to the top of the bank. He said, "Have you ever been through?" It was about a mile walking across this paddock. He said, we got to the top of the bank. He said, "Does poison ivy bother you?" I said, "I've never been through it." He said, "Well, it's either going to kill you, make you really sick, make you a little bit sick, or nothing. What do you want to do?" I said, "Catch my fish." So we went down through the poison ivy, cast the crap out of that hole, kept catching trees. They fight really hard, but you can never get your fly back. Snap it off, tie in another leader, tie another fly, and catch another tree. Because I'm not used to the back casting caper. But anyway, back up through the poison ivy, further down the snake infested paddock. down through the poison ivy again. A couple of casts later, I'm at this little brown trout. So we get in, we back up through the poison ivy, across the snake-infested paddock. We drive right up into the top of the hills in the Smoky Mountains. We pull up in to this house, in between the house and the barn, in this thick forest, and this big mountain came out, and he said, right, there's 2 rules for this house. Rule number 1, don't let the cats out. Rule number 2, if you're going to open the door, don't just open and walk out, because it's a bear-infested forest. There's been 400-pound bear walking around lately, and he'll be able to, he's going to eat you. So open the door and look out. And if you can't see him, then walk out. I'm thinking, trying to see a black bear in the middle of a forest in the night, yeah, good luck with that. So anyway, he said, here's a couple of flies that I tied you. Good luck. So we went down about 300-400 yards down the road. We drove. We pulled up. We're walking about 100 yards into this thick forest on sunset. And so I'm thinking that stealth is going to be the best way around it. The guy that I was fishing with, he didn't like that idea. It was way too overrated. He's like, hello, Mr. Bear. I'm not going to steal your food. We're just going to take a photo and let it go. Please don't eat us. I'm thinking there's nothing like yelling at a man-eating animal to draw his attention to you, right? Apparently, that's what you do to scare them off. But to my logic, being an Aussie, and we've got koala bears that won't eat you, you know, that's pretty hectic, because I've got okay eyes and okay ears, and that's about all I got, and a little fishing rod. But he's got a mouthful of teeth, a big ass claws that'll rip you apart, you know. So fair fight. But anyway, we're walking up this little 2-foot wide creek with thick overgrowth, trying to catch this trout. And they come in and they'd smack it and disappear. And because of it being dark, I couldn't see them so well. And so they'd hit it. And if you strike too late, you miss the fish. If you strike too early, you pull it out of his mouth. So I was getting so frustrated and looking around, hoping that we weren't going to get eaten by these bears. We get up to this last little hole there's a clearing there. Last little bit of light coming through. I thought it was God smiling on us. So I cast in, and I had one hit and missed it, and kept casting. Apparently the trout, when they hit a fly, they won't come back on it again, because they know it's not right. And I was hoping I'd find another one, silly enough, but it didn't happen. It was getting really dark. We're just about onto the light on the phones now. And so I said to him, look, one last cast. If we don't get it, that's it, I'm done. I don't want to get eaten. So cast it in, got nothing. He said, look, I'll just tie one more fly on it. It's a bit bigger, it's a bit brighter. Hopefully it'll come back for another go. Cast it in. This thing hit it so hard and swallowed it that far that it took a bit to get it out. I was like, yes, get the going through! You know, getting all excited about it, trying not to raise the attention of these man-eating bears. And hightailed it out of there so that we could get back. We pulled up at his house. And as I said, we were pulling up in between the house and the barn. He's come out, he said, right, if you go around the back of the barn, there's a doorway. If you go through the doorway, there's a set of stairs, go up the stairs, there's some beds up there, just get yourself changed and come down for dinner. The missus has got dinner ready. So we came down, went around up this tiny little staircase, and as sure as I'm on this feed with you, there was 3 single beds. I'm thinking Goldilocks and the 3 bears, right? But thankfully we lived to tell the tale and got out of there. But, you know, these are the sort of the adventures that you can have when you go targeting these particular fish instead of just fishing the same water all the time. Yeah, might be great at it, but, you know, it's just repetitive. It's the same thing time after time. So why not go and do something completely different?
I agree.
In 2015, one more story if I can. So 2015, I went to America to go and catch the last 5 fish that I needed. And leading up to it, there was another guy that's part of the IGFA that had a fair few of these Royal Slams. And as it turned out, I got it wrong. But when I was looking at it, it looked like he only had the bass one to do. And I didn't know how many bass he had left, whether he only had one that he needed or all of them or whatever. And he's got a lot of money and I don't. So I'm freaking out thinking if I don't get this done, this guy's going to beat me. In the last 4 years have just been a waste. So at the same time, I had a lot of people in America saying, hey, these fish that you need, they're on the chew. You've got to get over here. And I tried everything to get the money together. and I couldn't get it. And I put a post up on Facebook, and a mate that I hadn't spoken to in a long time, that I'd known for most of my life, sent me a message, and he rang me up and he said, "How much do you need?" And I told him. He said, "Transferring the money now, go and book your ticket." So after I stopped, I'd fallen on the floor with what the hell just happened, but rang the travel agent and I said, "I'm on the way, booked my ticket." He had to stay open for half an hour because I got stuck in traffic trying to get back there. And as it turned out, I was fishing on the spot where I first caught my very first offshore fish, which was a Spanish mackerel over 4 foot long.
Wow.
So anyway, got back, got in the travel agent, got the ticket, went to the airport the next morning, and I rang my boss because I was supposed to be working that day. I said, "I'm not coming into work today." He said, "Oh, you're all right?" I said, "Yeah, I'm on a plane. I'm about to leave to go to America." He said, "I guess you're not in tomorrow either." I said, "No, I'm gone." So thankfully, they're very understanding on what I'm doing and why I was doing it. But anyway, I got off the plane, started up in Boston, and a mate of mine picked me up from the airport. So I rang the first guy that was going to take us out chasing a poor beagle shark, and rang him up. He said, "I got some bad news for you." It's like, "Man, I've just flown halfway around the world. I don't need bad news." So I was going to put you on a shared charter, and they don't want anybody else on the boat, so I can't take you. So great, my trip's over before it's even begun, because he was going to do it a lot cheaper with it being a shared charter. I didn't have $2,500 spare to go paying another boat to take me out. So my mate made a few calls, and turned out there's a party boat up there, 60-foot boat that take 20 to 40 people out chasing fish. Rang one of the guys that goes out on it nearly every day and said, "Have you caught any of these poor beagle sharks?" He said, "Yeah, we've been getting a few a day." So great, can you ask the skipper if there's any room on the boat for him and how much it's going to cost? He rang us back and said, "Yeah, I've told the skipper about you, why you want to catch it, $33 and you're away." What the hell? I've been paying, by that stage, it was about 10 trips, $2,500 a day to catch nothing, and $33, I could have done it. So I went out on this party boat. It took me 3 days, but I finally caught this little poor beagle shark. So after big celebrations, the next morning I jumped on a bus, went down to Maryland to go and chase around a big-eyed tuna and a white marlin. Mm-hmm. And so the next day we got down to the boat. They had issues with one of the batteries. They had to get a new battery, so we got out late. And it was like a 3-hour drive to get out to where we were fishing. So we get out there, put the lures in, troll around, no white marlin, no one's catching any. But we came across a pot of pilot whales, which is where the big eye and the yellowfin hang out. And so the captain said, "Do you want to give a big eye a go?" It's like, "Well, you never leave fish to chase fish, so let's do it." So he changed the gears over. We had the teaser, big dredges, $900 dredge either side. We had 2 lines out, the third one's going out. Bang! This fish goes off. The 2 dredges, one of them had a tuna hit it, snapped it off and sunk it to the bottom, $900 dredge gone. The other one got hit. Thankfully, it didn't break off. But yeah, we're away. And we had a triple hookup on these lines. So which one do I grab? Because it might be yellowfin, it might be a big eye. Grabbed one, wound it in. Big eye, thankfully. So then got the others in, put the lines back out, and as soon as we had, bang, off they go again for another double. We ended up in 2.5, 3 hours. We had 6 big-eyed tuna around 200 pounds sitting on the deck. Nice. Nowhere to fight anymore, so we couldn't catch a sword through the night. So 3-hour trip drive out for a 3-hour fish and 3 hours back again. But it was a trip that, most tuna fishing would be drilling at the mouth with that sort of fishing. Yeah. So the next day we went out for a white marlin, didn't have any luck. I then got taken to a Greyhound bus depot to catch a bus up to New York to go and catch a thresher shark. But it was a Sunday in a small town. The depot wasn't open and I couldn't get on the bus without a ticket, but I couldn't buy a ticket because the depot wasn't open. So the only way I could get up there was to hitchhike, and ended up getting a ride with a 65-year-old drunk woman. She said, "Look, I'm having a bad day. I need someone to talk to. So if you're willing to talk, I'm willing to help you." I said, "All right, well, that's fair enough, but I'm driving because you're drunk." And she said, fair enough. So I got in the car. We take off. She said, oh, by the way, this can only go 40 mile an hour because I'm having trouble, and we'll blow the gearbox if we go any faster. I was like, great. I'm in a big hurry and I can't even drive. But anyway, we got up there late that day, so didn't have any luck. Went out the next day, ended up catching a thresher shark, which was just insane. So got she drove me back to Maryland, and then on the way back I'm trying to figure out where I can go and catch a swordfish. I had a guy from Facebook. He said, if you come down to Texas, we'll get your sword. I said, great. How much are we looking at? Because everyone was saying go to Isla Morada, but I didn't have $2.5 grand to go and do it.
Right.
And he said, just pay for fuel and we're away. So his fuel was great. So I had that all sorted out, and I had somebody else message me, and they said, where are you staying tonight? I said, probably in the back of the van with this drunk old lady. And they said, oh, hang on a sec. 5 minutes later, messaged me back. He said, look, I can't do anything to help you with what you need, but I want to do something to help you. And so I've paid for a room for you in Baltimore. You look like you could do with a decent sleep and a good feed. So, go and stay there, which blew me away that, this is the sort of lengths that people want to go to help me out.
Yeah.
So I fished with him a few times down in Florida now, and he's an awesome bloke. But anyway, then I went to Outer Banks in North Carolina and ended up catching a white marlin out there. It was the only fish of the day that we had, so we're very grateful that we got that. So then ended up down in Texas, and so the guy started messaging me. He said, have you heard of a boat called Booby Trap? I said, yeah, it's only the #1 boat in the world for catching swordfish. He said, well, not only did I used to work on it, so I know where they go and how they go, but I've also told the skipper about why you're here, and they're going to do everything they can to help us catch it as well. And started sending me all these videos of this boat catching 30 plus swordfish a day, which is just insane. I said, look, you're going to have to stop sending me these videos because I don't want to get all excited and it not happen, and you're stressing me out. So ended up down in Texas. We pulled up at the marina. He's not only the boat Booby Trap, but the captain was there as well. So I got to meet him and say good day, which was really awesome. Anyway, we went out that night, drifted through the night. We got nothing, drifted all that day and got nothing. And with the swordfish bite, all you're looking for is a little tap on the rod tip, because you're fishing in 3,000 feet of water,
right?
Or 1,000 feet to 3,000 feet of water for these things. And so it's not a big bite the way that these things fight, and you've got to wind it up and sort of get a reaction bite out of them. And so because there is a little bit of swell around, the boat would go over a wave and hit, and you see that vibration in the rod tip. It's like, was that a bite or was that just a vibration? And because I was at the end of 2.5 weeks now with very little sleep and not a lot of food because I didn't have a lot of money for it. So, trying to stay focused on what was going on really hard. But anyway, we fished all that day, got nothing. We had a hit that night, but it just played with the bait and that was gone. So the next day, Booby Trap came over and said, has he got it? Yeah. I said, no. They said, all right, we'll swim him over and we'll get him his fish. Got up on the boat. They said 5 minutes later, we're going to be hooking up, so get ready. Look, that's fantastic, but I don't know what I'm looking for. I know what I'm meant to be looking for, but I haven't seen it. So if you can help me out with walking through it, that'd be great. I had a problem. They treated me like a long lost friend, don't worry, little buddy, we got this, and there's plenty more fish. Anyway, 5 minutes later, sure enough, I get the bite. So they put me through the bite. I get the hook up, and with the swordfish, it'll strip off line and then it'll swim straight up. So you got to wind like crazy to keep the line tight. So I get up, the hands around the top, and then they'll take you back down to the bottom and do it all again. And I'm praying to God that it's going to be an easy fight because I don't have much strength left in me after all of this long trip. But anyway, so I'm just like cranking this thing, and it's coming up, and I'd feel the odd head shake. So I knew there was something there, but it just wasn't doing what swordfish do. And it seemed like forever to wind this thing up. And the whole time I'm thinking, it can't be a swordfish. It's not doing what it's meant to be doing. So finally it comes out, the deck later. And because I'm sitting in a chair and the line's straight up and down, I can't see in the water to see what it is. The leader brought it up. He's going, oh, crap. I said, what? He said, it's a shark. I said, oh, you're kidding. He said, no, mate, congratulations. I didn't know whether to hit the guy or hug him. But that was it. I got the swordfish to finish it out. So, that was just a 2 week, and it was one hell of an adventure. But, these are the stories that you can have when you go targeting different things. And
right.
It's not about catching the fish. It's about the adventure that you have and the stories and the lifetime memories that you have when you're doing it. So, yeah, definitely get out and go chasing some grand slams or fantasy slams, whatever, because it just adds so much more enjoyment into your fishing.
Yeah, you build a lot of friendships that way too. I mean, you got friends forever as you when you do that stuff.
Absolutely. And you go away as strangers and you come back as lifetime friends.
Right.
And, the amount of times that I've had these people say, just come and stay at our house and, we'll take you out fishing. And it just adds so much more because they tell you all about the area and the people and the places. And, yeah, one heck of a journey, that's for sure.
That's awesome. Well, we're getting low on time a little bit here, Matt. So we're going to kind of move on with the show. Any last minute tips for anybody watching that you want to pass along?
Just do your research. Talk to the local tackle shop in the area that you're going to be fishing, and find somebody that'll share some information with you about it. But do your research. Look up the IGFA for the different slam clubs that they've got and trophy fish and whatever, and go targeting them because you're going to have one heck of a lot of fun.
Awesome. Well, Matt, I want you to just hang on here. Don't go anywhere. We're going to continue on the rest of the show. We got some great pictures to show you, some local catches. So I want you to look at that. I'm going to take you off a screen, but you're not going anywhere. So just hang tight, okay?
No problem.
All right, that's going to take us up to our trophy board section, guys. What a great story from Matt. I mean, how do you beat all those fishing stories all over the world catching fish and getting yourself recognized for some great fish too? But speaking of great fish, we got a bunch of great folks here. We got Perryman Taramelli here, and he got some really nice redfish here from his kayak. I mean, that's a beautiful red, great eating fish. That's something I love to catch too. Another kayak catch. We got David Getz out getting some giant smallmouth here. Beautiful catch there, David. Good work. Our good friend Justin Lerner. We got a twofer with Justin this week. Back out on the Passaic, hitting those northern pike. Great fish week after week, Justin. I don't know how you do it, but you were also out catching some big eye tuna. It looks like you're pretty successful. Beautiful fish there as well. So congratulations, Dustin. Whoops, getting too far ahead of myself. Ashley Seminary, my good friend from Bobby Seminary's daughter, down in Florida. They moved down from Jersey, so they are out there catching some red snapper. Beautiful fish. Congratulations, Ashley. Local friend Johnny Boussard out catching some trout on these local streams. Yeah, they're still getting trout, guys. Don't give up on them because the weather's getting hot. Those mountain streams are still cool, and Johnny's obviously found them, so great work there. Good friend Ryan Sturgis, he's out on the Delaware River catching some of these stripers. There are still some fish hanging around, guys, so you want to get out and get some of them. Plenty of fishing on Delaware. Just have to take your time because they are thinning out, but great work, Ryan. And wrapping things up this week, Travis Roberts out getting some more redfish, and here he is from a kayak as well. Great fishing there, Travis. Hope you guys get more soon. I know you're always sending pics. Great stuff there. That's going to wrap up this week's trophy board. What do you think, Matt? There was some pretty great fish there, huh?
Awesome. I'm jealous on some of those northern pike. They're insane.
Yeah, I know.
Trout that he pulled out of the river. What a fish. Yep.
There's some beautiful fish there. But that's going to bring up our trivia giveaway. And in honor of our guest from Australia, I'm going to talk this week about black marlin. They're probably one of the largest game fish that are sought. What is the IGFA record weight for a black marlin? Is it 1,560 pounds, 2,150, or 2,505? I need an answer. First person that gives me the correct answer will get a free 1-year subscription to the Fisherman Magazine, all the tips, tactics, and tackle you need to be a better fisherman. First answer gets this prize. Which one is it, guys? 1,560, 2,150, or 2,505? What is the record? No, Jen, you got to get it right one of these weeks, Jen. No, it's not 2505. What is the record? IGFA record for a black marlin. Justin Greeter. Justin, good work. It is 1560 is the record for a black marlin. I did my research this morning. I thought it was actually bigger than that myself because they are just amazing fish. Matt, I know you've caught them, right?
Yeah, I've caught two that went over 1,000 pounds. One was about 1,300, so 1560. That's just a massive fish.
Yeah,
It's just insane, and the awesome fight that you have with them. It's just crazy. You got to do it. And I'm living up in the area where they catch them now at Cairns. So
yeah,
come on down, come and have a fish on Raffinity Charters with me and my friend, and we'll go and get you one.
Oh, there you go. But you better pack a lunch. I mean, that's not an hour fight with a fish that big. So
exactly.
So yeah, that's it, guys. Congratulations, Justin. I'll get with you after the show, and we'll get you set up with this free 1-year subscription. Thank you very much for playing. Thank you, everybody, for playing. This has been a really fun time. Tim Keebler, hey, thanks for joining us, Tim. Tim's that great guide in the Delaware. Be sure you guys give Tim a call. But that's going to kind of bring our show to an end here. There we go. So we're going to wrap things up. One thing I do want to mention to you guys, if you're looking to, looking for marketing if you're a guide, if you're an outfitter, if you have a charter or a lodge, be sure you give Ted Johnson a call over at Marketing for Guides. He does web design, development. He's got over 200 clients in the fishing industry and growing every day. So if you're looking for a web designer or a marketing agency to promote your business, please give Ted a call at 503-380-8012. Also, my good friend Tim Keebler at Finseeker River Guide Service. Be sure you book those trips. Like I said, Tim's out there getting people on fish every day. I've been watching his posts, and I'm getting a little bit jealous. I may have to give Tim a call myself. Give me a yell, 215-262-4811. Get yourself on some of those trophies. Also, Tony Maja Products, the Fisherman Magazine. Thanks to them guys for your support. And please be sure to email me all those pics. We'd love to see what you guys are catching. PoconoGeorge@outlook.com. Send us those pics, and that's going to wrap up this show. I hope you had a good time. I want to thank Matt Price for joining us. What a great guest. Just love to hear him. I could listen to him talk for hours. The fishing stories are fantastic. So, guys, I hope we see you next week. Matt, thank you again for your time. And we're going to kind of wrap things up, and we'll see you next week.